The design of this house is the closest thing that I've seen to a modern masterpiece in recent times. Now, here's the interesting thing. The concept behind this house is to represent the design of a cavern or of a cave. Now, you look at this and it doesn't really scream cave at you, does it? Caves are very organic. They don't follow a specific form. They're dark and a lot of times can be completely underground. This is white, extremely orthogonal, sticks out like a sore thumb, doesn't fit into the context of the neighborhood at all, but the concept is a cave or a cavern. Surely the interior of this house is going to be dark, humid, and represent a cave much more than this is going to, right? Not quite. This is the interior of the house, and this is pretty much the language that you're going to see throughout the house. Part of the reason why I think that this house is such a masterpiece is because it takes the concept, it takes the idea of the concept, and it creates a space out of it, a usable space. If I wanted to design a cavern house or a cave house, I would actually physically represent a cave and make a dwelling out of it. At least that's what a crappy design would do. What the architects did here, though, was take the representation of what a cave is. What are elements that make a cave beside the aesthetic elements, because they have their own interior design to work with that? But what's the idea behind being in a cave? And in this shot right here, you can see one of the elements, which is this idea of multi-level. So while you're sitting or standing in this child's playroom, you have two different views of the outside, which are completely in two different planes. And not only are they in two different planes, but they're also at two different levels. It frames two different views of two different levels of gardens to enhance the interiors. Now, the actual interior design, as far as the furniture goes, it's pretty unique, but this does look like it is a playroom, so therefore the rest of the house might not be as unique. And that's where you're wrong again. If you look at the interior design, it's very playful, it's very colorful. Again, you look at this and you're not thinking of a cave, but if you think about the idea behind the organization, the spatial organization of the cave, where you have like these random pockets of spaces that interact with each other, that's exactly what the architects have created here. So you have a moment of work up here where that user can now see what's going on here below, and people that are using the space here, which seems to be a connection to the kitchen of some sort or a dining area, they're now able to peek down here and converse with the children who are in the playroom. So it's like this three-dimensional organization of space that is so unique and so interesting, and it just works so well. I mean, the design itself doesn't take away from the actions that are taking place in these spaces. In fact, it actually enhances these moments. That's what I consider good architecture to be. It's architecture that serves its purpose, but also enhances your experience. The whole idea of form follows function, but with an aesthetic twist. Now here we can take a better look at the same middle space that we were looking at before, but we're looking a little bit closer at what's going on from an interior perspective point of view. A lot of pastel colors, a lot of interesting shapes that make up what I assume is probably casework here. This is what I think is permanent furniture. And the kitchen, I think this is a kitchen island of some sort. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's very quirky. The design patterns are very unique, very interesting, and I think that adds to the idea of the cave concept. In a cave, you have a clash of all these different forms and all these different elements working together in one. And that's kind of like what's happening here. Everything is one space, everything serves one or two purposes, but it's made up of all these unique and different elements that actually work together. Now, when you have a space like this, I mean, just look how incredibly beautiful this is right here. It looks like a collage, but it's actually the same space. Well, it's two spaces shared by one threshold here. You have a pool, you have what I think is an observatory. I think I saw that in plan with a game room. And then not only is this space here working incredibly beautiful on its own, but it takes what's happening on the exterior and brings it in the form of color. So it frames it, but it also uses that as inspiration for this own space. Not to mention the color palette that's created with this building, the green, and then the blue from the water. It all makes it work together. A lot of times we're taught to believe that interior design is just making the interior pretty, using materials and colors and textures. And although that is the gist of interior design, I think interior design has the power to be this powerful. Like when I see this is an incredible use of interior design to empower the space and also frame the views that are happening on the outside while also working with the architecture to create such a beautiful, such an amazing space. I mean, you look at the interior design here and it's just so amazing how they've been able to frame this space almost like a two-dimensional element turning into a three-dimensional space. It's like very reminiscent of a puzzle type video game. Really cool moments that they're able to create just in the way that they place things together. A lot of times architects and designers don't spend time on like stairs or anything like that. They just throw them there to the corner. But by them highlighting it in this way, it becomes part of the space in such an interesting way. There's a careful thought in the design of each of the elements that are put in the space. It's not just, hey, we're going to have this, typical luxury waterfall edge island, that just doesn't really belong. We're just putting it there because that's what everybody else is doing. No, we're going to take the language of what's happening in the rest of the house and we're going to make it so that each element belongs in the space, but also has its own unique identity. I mean, you see this and it's like we're so used to seeing all the kitchen cupboards and everything tucked away. That's like the new modern trend to just hide everything so it's plain and white. And yet this is so bold and stands out. But again, it's because of that concept of the cave. In the cave, you're walking around, you're exploring, and every moment is unique. You can literally pick any corner of a cave and just spend time staring at it and understanding it and dissecting it, and that becomes enjoyable. And this is part of the reason. Like, this is not just a kitchen anymore. This is its own element that now you can stare at, you can photograph, you can sit here and even work on a laptop, and just the backdrop becomes so enjoyable. Not to mention just elements like this. And I'm talking about this specifically, this netting here, which allows the child to traverse through the space in this like really cool netting. It blows my mind and it makes me kind of jealous in a way. Like, I wish I could have grown up in a house like this growing up, because this is just phenomenal. I mean, the fact that the netting is placed in the stairs, right? As you're walking up, you're seeing this, and the child is running around in the space, going through. Here's another shot of that. It's just honestly so amazing. Now, normally floor plans are kind of like the guidelines to understanding the house. But honestly, when you're talking about a three-dimensional space like this house, for example, the plan doesn't do it justice. Now, I was sifting through the plans and I was getting excited and a little bit anxious because I was wanting to get to where the sections are, and I was like praying to God that they have a good section, because a lot of times these projects will just throw whatever construction documentation they have as part of the showcase for the project, and it really ruins the overall experience. I was praying to God that they would have at least some really nice section, and guess what? They do. And it's this one right here. Now, the cool thing about this section is that it really highlights the interacting volumes of the space. This is what makes this project even much more of a masterpiece, is the fact that they provided this section, and you read the section and everything works so well. You have this office that we've seen in a couple of pictures already, or studio space, and you can see that it has views to the interior and it also has views to the exterior, which happens to be the location of the pool, as well as you have a small gym where a person's running on a treadmill and they also have the same views. Like, I mean, just seeing this, it completely blows my mind, because they could have made just your typical ordinary home. Like, that always becomes the excuse of why projects suck. Well, there needs to be beds and there needs to be hallways and closets. And yeah, but what about making it an experience? Like, this is an experience. And just to add to why the house looks the way that it does on the exterior, you look at this and you're like, well, why didn't they bring some of the stuff that, was happening on the inside to the outside? Like, they could have made this like really cool and really colorful and fun the way that it is on the inside. But the thing about the project, and another reason why it makes it a masterpiece in my opinion, is because going back to the concept of the project, they wanted this to be like a cave experience. I know I've said that 4,000 times in this video, but they wanted the experience to be known to new guests. New guests arrive and they're like, hey, look, another luxury modern house. And then they step into the house and they're like, wait, oh my God, they're peeking at little moments that are happening without the project. They're like, wait, I want to go up there. What's up there? It becomes like an adventure. This house, the circulation of this house becomes an adventure, and they didn't want the house itself, the exterior facade, to give that away. And it is just like, my God, standing ovation. This is such a phenomenal project that I want to go out for a run right now. I'm so ecstatic. I can't even explain it. There's obviously so much more that can be said about this project, but I'll just let you sit down and let these ideas and these images kind of simmer in your mind. But I do want to mention that this project is located in Singapore, and it was designed by Super Assembly, which is not a firm that I'm familiar with, if I'm being 100% honest. Now, this is their website. I wanted to check out their profile because I had never seen their work before, but they seem to be a very interesting studio. Part of the reason why I wanted to look into them was because I wanted to see if they had their own in-house interior design firm, because I didn't see the interior designers of this project called out in the original posting of this project. But I gotta tell you, again, I still don't know the answer to that, but I just want to say that that level of interior design that works so well with the architecture, but is also unique, like it is so amazing to see that level of interior design, and so refreshing to see that level of interior design, that honestly I just wanted to give kudos to them. So if they are part of Super Assembly, this architecture firm, then kudos to you, and being able to build this such a wonderful architectural firm that honestly seems to be very successful in the work that they do. But anyways, I'm gonna see if I go for a run or something, because I'm just like bursting right now with energy, and this project was awesome. It really was an awesome project, and I'm so happy I stumbled upon it today. Geez, I can't even talk right now.